All right, welcome. I want you to imagine something for me. Picture walking into a building made entirely of paperwork and paradox, a place where time seems to run backwards, where questions literally write themselves, and the only way out is to become part of the machine. Today, we're going to dive into a world where bureaucracy isn't just a system. It's a state of being.
So here's how we're going to break this down. First, we'll tackle the impossible logic of the whole system. Then we'll see how it just completely dismantles a person's identity and memory. After that, we're going to journey right to the heart of it all, this place called the archive. And finally, we'll get into this secret literary ingredient that really holds this whole world together.
Okay, let's begin. Our journey starts with a character we know only as Applicant K. He walks into a building where, the basic laws of logic, they're just bent into this perfect, maddening circle. This is a place where the very idea of progress is a joke, and the only skill that actually matters is your ability to just wait.
And this quote right here, this is one of the very first things he hears from a clerk. Now, this isn't some kind of mistake, right? No, this is the constitution of this reality. It's like Catch-22, but turned into a fundamental law of physics. This single idea, this is the central paradox that every other nightmare in this place is going to grow out of.
And hey, if you had any doubts, even the posters on the wall seem to confirm it. This is not a place you just pass through. It is an environment specifically designed to trap you, to keep you in the state of perpetual waiting. The whole point isn't to get somewhere. The point is just to endure, to just stay put.
And this little loop here, it just perfectly illustrates the system in action. So, K tries to be honest, right? He says he arrived, he wasn't born. And what's the system's solution? Of course, it's another form, a supplementary form. But get this, that new form has the exact same impossible question on it, which, you guessed it, requires another supplementary form. It's brilliant, really. Every single solution is just an entrance to an even deeper, more complicated problem.
All right, so let's move on because we're about to see how this machine processes something much, much deeper than paper. It's actually processing the applicant's identity, just stripping away anything and everything that won't neatly fit on a form.
So the system kicks off with this really simple, fundamental question. Who is Applicant K? But here's the thing, its goal isn't really to get an answer. The real objective is to just methodically dismantle the person giving the answers until all that's left is, a variable, an initial, just K. And I think this next idea is such a powerful metaphor. The forms are doing a kind of surgery. Every single question K answers isn't a step forward. It's a piece of himself that he's forced to surrender. These forms aren't just collecting data. They're literally performing a procedure, cutting away his memories, his personality, his history, anything really, that can't be put in a box and filed away. And the result of that surgery? Well, it's just devastating. You can see how K's past is just systematically erased. The memory of his mother's face starts to fade. The whole idea of family becomes a malformed question. And his name? It gets boiled down to just that single initial. See, the building can only understand two things, the applicant and the application. So it just reshapes him to fit.
All right, now we're going to go even deeper, because the building doesn't just mess with who you are in the present. Oh no, it completely re-engineers the very architecture of your past. It redefines what you're even capable of remembering.
This is where the forms start asking these truly impossible questions. Describe the memory that preceded that one. I mean, think about that. How do you describe a memory of not having memories yet? It's a total philosophical trap, right? It's designed to force you to define something that's indefinable, to give some kind of shape and texture to an absolute void.
But here's the incredible part. Instead of just giving up, K's response is actually kind of beautiful. He takes this non-memory and turns it into this powerful metaphor for his whole life inside this building. He says he's always on the verge of becoming something, just perpetually waiting behind a closed door. And this is a real breakthrough moment for K. He suddenly realizes that the very substance of this place, it isn't concrete or steel. It's something you can't even touch. It's the hesitation before you write something down. It's the uncertainty. It's the space you occupy while you're just struggling to answer an impossible question. The building is literally made of the process itself.
So, after what feels like a literal eternity of filling out forms, K learns that there might be a final destination. He hears about this central archive, a place that supposedly holds the promise of one final ultimate question, the key, maybe, to this entire system.
And this is a massive reveal.
It turns out the structure isn't really an office building with a records room. It's actually a vast, sprawling archive of processed people, with a tiny little lobby attached. The real building is just paper and questions and all that infinite space between them.
And right at the heart of this whole paper universe, there's something called Form 0. You can think of it like the source code for this entire bureaucratic reality. It's the original template, the first cause, and it contains just one single question. A question that, if you could answer it, might make all the other ones totally irrelevant.
But the path to this final question, well, it isn't geographical. You can't just find it on a map. The only way you can ever get to the archive is through complete and total assimilation. You have to erase whatever little bit of yourself is left and just become one with the process. You have to become the application.
And this is the ultimate question on Form 0. Are you still here? I mean, it is just breathtakingly simple and at the same time so profound. It's not about data or history or your purpose. It's a deep, existential question. In a place that's designed from the ground up to erase you, the final test is just to confirm that some version of you still exists. Just being there, presence itself, is the final answer. Okay, for our final section, we're actually going to step outside the story for a minute and look at its literary DNA. We're going to see how this world was built from the ideas of some absolute giants of literature, and, even more importantly, from the one crucial element that just refused to fit in.
So you can totally feel the influence of Kafka, right? All that nightmarish bureaucracy. And you can feel Borges with his infinite labyrinths. But the real soul of this story, it lies in the thing that couldn't be combined with them. It lies in what's called the residue, that quiet, persistent, totally plot-defying stillness you get from Samuel Beckett, the endless, endless waiting.
And this distinction is what makes this so fascinating. On one hand, you have the Kafka and Borges parts. They merge together to create a system, a story with some kind of twisted purpose. But on the other hand, you have that Beckett residue, and that creates this powerful anti-story. It's not about how to get through the labyrinth, it's about the profound act of just enduring inside of it, waiting for something you know is never going to show up.
And that, right there, is the human element at the very core of this. This isn't a struggle for victory, it's not a story about escape, it's about that quiet, deeply human act of just persisting, even without a purpose. It's about continuing to move forward when you know, with absolute certainty, that the path you're on leads absolutely nowhere.
And that brings us to this famous line from Beckett, which just perfectly captures the spirit of that residue. I can't go on, I'll go on. I mean, that leaves us with the central paradox, not just of this story, but maybe of existence itself, right? That the engine that keeps us going often runs on the fuel of its own impossibility. The question isn't really, can you go on? It's just, will you?